South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson is petitioning the state's Supreme Court to rehear its ruling on the 6-week abortion ban. Earlier this month, the justices ruled the state's fetal heartbeat bill violates South Carolinians' constitutional right to privacy. That bill had banned abortions after 6 weeks, with only limited exceptions after that point. In a statement, Wilson said, quote, "We respectfully disagree with the court's decision and believe the intent of the South Carolina Constitution is clear. The framers of our privacy provision did not conceive this provision as creating a right to abortion," end quote. The Supreme Court has not announced a decision on if they will be rehearing the ruling. Drug trafficking, human trafficking, and prison riots, all crimes that law enforcement connects to South Carolina inmates getting their hands on cell phones. The head of the state's prison system has been wanting to block signals to those phones for years. As State House reporter Mary Green explains, South Carolina's Attorney General is now getting involved, and she sat down with them to find out why.
This is about cell phones, and you've heard us talk about these over and over again. These folks are fighting over real money and real territory while they're incarcerated.
Those words from South Carolina Corrections Director Brian Sterling nearly 5 years ago, speaking after 7 inmates were killed during a riot at Lee Correctional Institution. Law enforcement blamed cell phones as one of the major causes of the deadly 2018 riot.
It's the #1 public safety threat, I think, in the country. A sheriff told me that recently.
In the last 5 years, we have busted up 4 major drug trafficking rings involving the use of contraband cell phones behind the prisons.
That includes one earlier this year, when South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson announced 43 people had been indicted in a multi-state drug trafficking bust, which his office says inmates coordinated using cell phones.
Prison cells are no place for cell phones, and we need to stop it.
Wilson is now leading a push backed by more than 20 other state attorneys general, calling for Congress to pass legislation that would allow states to jam cell phone signals at their prisons. Critics worry that could also block signals for people who live and work nearby.
One time, I think that was possible. Now, with technology and equipment advances, that's just not possible anymore. I think that's a red herring.
Sterling says they've taken measures to try to keep illegal phones out of prisons in the first place, including adding scanners and x-rays at entrances and installing netting to stop throwovers. And they're working to implement drone detection technology. But he says the best solution is to render those phones inoperable.
If we could just jam, just like federal prisons are able to jam, these cell phones, a lot of this would go away almost overnight.
But Sterling says there might be a middle ground. Last year, the FCC adopted a rule that would allow state prison systems to turn off illegal cell phone signals within 5 days of identifying them. Sterling says South Carolina applied for this and has been certified, but isn't able to actually do it yet.
All I want from the FCC right now is some type of answer as to how long this is going to take, and we can't get that answer. I need to know that.
I reached out to the FCC asking that same question, but I haven't heard back either. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
Well, Sterling says this technology is so advanced that they can precisely target where phones would be jammed inside prisons, so service outside the fence would not be blocked as well. He says the federal government even successfully tested that technology at a state prison in Columbia back in 2019.